with all the hype around them, to go back to another finals, because they lost last year, right?
They lost. They did lose in the conference finals. They lost to the LA Kings. And
a heartbreaker.
Yeah. A couple plays away when you look at it from going. And I think the Rangers last year, who lost the Stanley Cup to the Kings, were right for the picking. So even if the Blackhawks would have made it by the skin of their teeth, they would have had, I think, great success and bought that third championship. We're talking about number 4 right now. Talk about a dynasty.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be like the the New England Patriots of hockey.
Oh, yeah, except that, those pucks you can't deflate. And if they do it, our balls don't deflate. They're Boston.
Yeah.
So, as you should. And if you're going to do it and stuff, come out and admit it. And I don't know. You can go both ways on that. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And everybody's accused of doing it. Now more people have come out and saying that it's a league-wide thing, and even in the collegiate level, and who knows how far back this goes. But your good old American hero, Mr. Tom Brady, isn't as wholesome as he seems to be now.
Yeah, but let me put it this way, dude. Putting more air in the ball or releasing air from the ball, you still got to throw the ball.
Yeah, that's true.
Accurately. Otherwise, you're going to lose that game.
Yeah.
So I don't see what the big deal is about Brady, but getting suspended for 4 games over something that was probably outside of his control. Because I don't know, what are they talking about, that he set the balls up that way? Like he talked to the ball boy or something before the game?
I think more the fact that he knew and he denied it, that he knew that, what was going on. He approved it, and nothing goes. I think with him and Belichick, nothing goes past those two guys. Those guys are such total command of that team.
Right.
And if he tells Coach, I want this to happen, Coach agrees, send the ball boy into the bathroom to release the release the air, make the ball smaller.
Release.
And it comes. I think this is more of a slap on the wrist for him, saying it's not the fact that you did it, it's the fact that you denied it and you publicly said it didn't happen.
Right.
It's like the guys in the steroid era getting back to baseball and denying on Capitol Hill and saying that they didn't take any, that they did not take a performance-enhancing drug when, we all know sure as hell they did.
Didn't they have some issue last year at the beginning of the season, too? Wasn't somebody suspended for, 4 games?
For what? For...
I don't know. Was it the other gate, the video gate or whatever?
Oh, they had that. Well, they had the spy gate where they actually were
Spygate,
illegally taping the practices.
Right. And
without their consent. So.
Weren't they, they had to forfeit a
that's
game
all, and
something?
again, that's all Belichick. There's a method to his madness. He wins, and he's considered probably, if not one of the best NFL coach of all time. But again, what kind of message does it send? I know it sounds cliche. You think about the kids. You think about the image that it's going. The kids. Well, somebody think about the kids.
Yeah.
Before you put that needle in that ball,
that's right.
Think of the kids.
Please think of the kids before you put in first. If you're gonna be doing that again, it takes away from his wholesome image. He's just as corrupt as anybody. You go back from the years to different sports. Pete Rose betting on baseball and everything that's happened within sports, and then the steroid era. So nothing is sacred anymore.
Meanwhile, Ray Rice beats up his woman, knocks her unconscious, and gets 4 games.
So I guess it's just as good as smacking your woman on camera as it is to be able to cheat and have the ball be lighter to get to the receiver's hands.
Well, do you think that when they have these issues that they kind of spin a wheel and decide okay, this is what you're going to get. You can't have your 1st and 4th pick. That was one of the things that they had for the Patriots, I believe, right?
But they had that taken away from them for this year.
They got draft picks taken away over this?
They did, yes.
They did.
Wow.
Yeah, 2 of them.
And then some sort of $25,000 fine.
$1 million fine.
Oh, it is?
They got $1 million fine.
I honestly...
So this is infinitely worse than domestic violence in the eyes of the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You can smack your woman and have an excuse for it, but you can't take the ball out and cheat and everything. So
or you could beat up your kid with a switch.
Oh, right, exactly, and still keep your job.
Yeah, he had to sit out the rest of the season, but
he'll be a Dallas Cowboy soon enough. So
you think so?
Yeah,
I was thinking a Jet, maybe a New York Jet.
There you go. Well, if he goes to the Jets, maybe he'll shoot himself like Palacio did or something.
Palacio, yeah.
Yeah, it's New York, man, and I tell you, they don't settle for anything but the best, and it's proven with all their teams, with the exception of the Knicks. But it just goes to show you that if you're gonna win and at all costs, then be ready to pay the price on whatever you're gonna do. You go ahead and say that you're such a wholesome franchise or a team or a league or whatever, and you got guys like Aaron Hernandez and pulling drive-bys with his homies and still trying to live the thug life.
Yeah.
So, which is just horrible. And I've said it, same thing with Michael Vick and the dogfighting. Either you're going to try to be a corporate face of the NFL and a company man, or you're going to be a gangster. You cannot be both.
Absolutely. And I don't know. It's probably a deserved suspension and all this other stuff, but I think this who is it? What's the commissioner's name?
Oh, Goodell?
Goodell?
Yeah, Roger Goodell.
Yeah, he's trying to swing the hammer down pretty heavy-handedly because, like...
Well, he messed up the whole thing with Ray Rice.
Yeah,
Just,
so now he's going to overdo it.
right.
And then look like he's, on the side of righteousness and justice. Whatever, dude.
Well, he's covering everything up. They knew for a fact that what happened in the elevator, and they knew they had the tape beforehand.
Oh,
and
yeah, they saw it months
gave
ago.
him a slight slap on the wrist. And just, I mean, again, what does that, tell you? I mean, it's you shouldn't, again, domestic violence is nothing to joke about. It's nothing to take lightly. I mean, the society that we live in, it's not acceptable. And again, if anybody should have got suspended for the year, or beyond that immediately, without even any question, as soon as they saw the tape, that should never have gotten that far.
That dude should have been in jail.
Right. And as much money, such a juggernaut that the NFL is. I mean, it's insane how much money that they make and how much they bring in. Again, you have to keep everybody in line. This just looks bad on him. I mean, what kind of legacy is he going to leave behind as a commissioner? It almost as tainted as what David Stern. The only reason I say that because the NBA grew, and I know you're an NBA fan, Tim.
Sure.
And it goes back to, if anything that David Stern has on him is the whole thing with the LA Clippers, Donald Stern.
Yeah.
And knowing and stuff that, if you're going to be, owning a team when 80% of your players are minority and you're going to have something against those minority fans coming and paying and sitting in your stands, you can't do that. I'm not going to kick out the same people that are providing, my goods and services.
Right.
Doesn't make any sense. That's like me having a Mexican restaurant and saying I don't want any Mexican customers.
Who was the other guy? The internal memos that were leaked about his strategies to build a better community in the fans and stuff.
Right.
He was talking about how all the black people would show up late for the introductions and stuff.
Yeah. Well, blame that LA traffic from what I hear, man. Don't blame the people, man. Saying that traffic is notoriously bad in LA. I mean, blame that. You're not going to blame those poor people. So, and it should be friendly. Besides, you're second banana to the Lakers in that team. In that town. You always will be. It's you hold on to the fans you have, buddy. What are you doing trying to disassociate from them and from all the good that they bring in and all the revenue? And we're basically paying they're paying your bills, man. They're paying your salary. All these hard-working people, and it's not cheap. You know that. It's not cheap to go to these games.
Hell no. An outing for just you is probably going to be at least $100.
Absolutely.
Tickets and parking and concessions and souvenirs.
Everything.
It's way more than $100.
Yeah, well,
absolutely.
It depends on how frugal of a spender you are.
Right.
I went to the game. I spent $120 at the Cubs game, and I had a couple of beers, had some nachos, had a.
Was that with the tickets though?
Yeah, the ticket was $35. The parking was $30, so I paid half, $15.
Mm-hmm.
And then
so you had enough money for a beer.
I had several $8.25 Goose Islands.
Oh, what a deal! What a
value. Right.
And Goose Islands in Chicago, and they're sort of markup.
They're right across the street,
right.
Dude. You could walk the bottles over there.
Well, I actually, I remember going to Yankee Stadium, and the beers were $10 to $11 each.
Good Lord.
Yeah,
wow.
It was ridiculous.
Who would go to Yankee Stadium?
Oh.
I guess for the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those places you just gotta go at some point.
Isn't that the oldest ballpark in the league now?
Fenway's older.
Fenway,
technically, I think, is still older.
Fenway's probably the oldest.
But that's the same thing with the nostalgia with the Cubs, though. I mean, that's the whole, that's what the reason you go and synonymous with Chicago is, the Cubs and Wrigley and the neighborhood and everything.
All those bleachers seats that they're creating?
Yes.
They were all sold for season tickets.
I bet.
So there's people waiting already still a month into the season. When are we going to get to go?
It's a good time. You can't beat that. I mean, it really is. You go to Wrigley, just you go to party, you go to bar hop, you go to have a good time, and
Yeah.
coincidentally, there happens to be a baseball game going on.
There just happens to be
Right,
some.
but now you got a reason to cheer. Much better, production. That's what it comes down to. But
Yeah.
again, the Cubs did not need. I mean, I shouldn't say they didn't need, but for many years, it wasn't even required to be a winning franchise, and they still drew them in.
Right.
They still concessions, a turnstile. You put butts in the seats, and you'll be fine.
That's it. That's all. It was a party spot.
And that's all it comes down to, man.
Yeah.
Good times, It's talk about the quintessential American, pastime, and you get drunk, you show up. There's pretty ladies walking around everywhere, and you're in the middle of a great Chicago neighborhood in the sun.